Do you know, I think that some of the nicest Christmas gifts or gifts at any time of the year are things that you've actually made yourself, because you make them with care and with love, with the person that you're giving it to in mind. So we've put together on the website some really lovely bath blends. Now I'm going to show you how to make some very simple bath milks. And I'm going to start with one that we call Silent Night, because it's all about getting a really good night's sleep. It's a lovely bath blend to use at the end of the day. So I've got here about 150 grams of milk powder, just dried milk powder. And I'm making half the amount that's on the website. Normally it's like 300 grams, but I'm just going to halve it for now. And then into that, I'm going to use some dried chamomile flowers, and you can buy these online, or if you're lucky enough to have dried some earlier, you might have some that you can use. But I've got about 5 tablespoons of these really lovely scented dried chamomile flowers. And you know how if you want to have a really calming cup of something in the evening before bed, chamomile tea is the one, because it just sort of helps to switch off the mind. And that's partly to do with the therapeutic essential oils, just having this really lovely calming aroma. So I'm going to mix those two together. So very simple, dried chamomile flowers with some dried skim milk powder. You can use full fat powder or semi-skim, doesn't really matter. That's just to give the creamy milk base to your bath blend. And then into that, I'm going to use one of my favourite essential oils, particularly for bedtime, and that is lavender. So I had 10 tablespoons of the chamomile flowers, or 5 tablespoons if you're making half the quantity like I am, with 10 drops of lavender oil, or 5 drops, obviously, if you're doing half the quantity. So what you want to do is just literally sprinkle that on. And you know, frankly, I love lavender, so I'm going to add throw in a few more there, because I just love the smell. You don't have to be super precise. But give that a mix around, and the lavender and the chamomile aromas that are coming from this are really absolutely brilliant. And then you need to just pack it away into a jar. And the best jars really are these Kilner jars, because they're airtight. So when you're working with fragrances or essential oils, it means that the smell doesn't evaporate. So I'll just show you, you get the gist. And then when you're using this, you can tie a little tag on, you can make a little label, giving the ingredients. It's always nice, I think, that people know what's inside something, whether you're making something that's a homemade beauty treat, or whether you're making a homemade cake or brownie or something. It's nice to have the ingredients there, just in case anybody is sensitive to anything. And then you can also write a lovely little message. You can tell them how to use it. You can just say, add a couple of spoonfuls to your bath at the end of the day for a relaxing soak. Switch off, have some sweet dreams. And then once you have filled your jar, it's not quite full because I'm obviously making half the amount, you would seal that up, and then you could pop a little tag around that. You can get these again online. You can write your little gift message. You could sprinkle it with some glitter. You could put some stickers on, get the kids to do it. And then I'm just going to tie it with some ribbon. I save all my ribbon. Have you got any boxes like this? It's just so much saved ribbon from presents and parcels. So I'm going to put 2 ribbons together here. Because it's got lavender oil, I found some that are kind of lavendery coloured. So just roughly measure that around there. And snip those 2 together. I like the fact that I've got a gauze ribbon and a solid colour. And then I can just tie those together like that. They'll twist together really nicely, I think, with my little label. And I just think it's a lovely way to give somebody a thoughtful present that shows that you've taken some time, you've thought about what they might need. Just give that a little trim. And it is highly personal for them. So that's the first one, your Silent Night bath milk. So the next one I'm going to show you is one of my favourites, actually. It's called Soft and Silky Bath Milk, and it is fragranced with rose. So I'm going to start again with the same base that we use for our bath milk blend. So this is 150 grams of skimmed milk powder. You can use half fat, full fat, doesn't really matter. It's just the base for your bath milk. And then into that, I'm going to use 5 tablespoons of dried rose petals or rose buds. They look so pretty, and of course they smell great too. If you've got leftover rose petals, maybe from the summer, you could use those, but you can buy them online otherwise. They're really easy to get hold of. So I'm going to mix those in with the dried milk powder, and that gives you your really pretty base. And then the fragrance comes from essential oils. Now, if you really want to be indulgent, you could use pure rose essential oil. I've got some here. It's a rose absolute, but it is really expensive. So it's also quite hard to get out of the bottle because it's quite thick. So I actually, to be honest with you, prefer keeping my rose absolute for using in skincare on the body. But there are other alternatives. So rose geranium is a lot less expensive, and it has a fantastic rosy smell. It actually comes from the leaves of the pelargonium flower. It's the little oil sacs underneath the leaf that gives it this rosy smell. And it's a fraction of the price of Rose Absolute, but it still gives you that lovely, distinctive floral aroma. So what you want to do is you want to mix it really well so that the oil gets into the milk powder. And then you're going to pop it into your jar. And again, you could use a Kilner jar, which is the one that has an airtight seal. Or if you get jars that you use at home that are particularly pretty, this is a really nice shape. I think this was a pickle jar that I bought. Then obviously, you know, clean it, you reuse it, reuse, recycle, all of that, much more sustainable. Just make sure it doesn't smell of pickles, because that's not going to be so great for your bath. And then you're going to pop your mixture into there. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell it. It really is the most fantastic smell. And then always make your little label that says to somebody what's in it, what it does, how to use it. Just a couple of spoonfuls in the bath. Make sure the bath's not too hot, because hot water destroys essential oils. So you want to keep your bath water really sort of just hand hot, not scorchingly hot. Some people like a really hot bath, but actually last thing at night, that's not so great because it's a bit too energizing and invigorating. So you want to keep your bath water at a reasonable temperature. Then when you have filled that up, I'm just going to add the last little bit because I don't want to miss out on any of this. It's too good not to use every little bit of it. And then actually what you can also do is, if you didn't want to give a big jar like this, then you could fill smaller jars. So these I found online, and you can get them from craft shops, and you can get little jars like this, really cute. So these would be really fun as little stocking fillers, for example, or you could make lots of different ones. You could have the invigorating soak and the calming soak and the rose petal soak. Anyway, that's my rosy one there. So rose petals, you might want to just give it a little bit of a shake around, because you find that it does settle a little bit. And then I'm going to choose my ribbons. So I've got more of my ribbons in my ribbon box here. I've got some nice pink ones. This is a lovely dark Wellbeing pink. Let me use that one. Bring that round here and just tie that around the neck of the jar. And again, you can add a label if you want. And there we have our little soft and silky rose petal bath soak all ready to go. So the next one I'm going to show you how to make is the Sleepy Lavender, the Himalayan salt bath. And I'm just going to use some of this pink Himalayan salt that has all kinds of added trace minerals in it, and it just looks so pretty. So it's quite nice to make something for the bath with. Also very good if you're making body scrubs, actually, to use this very fine Himalayan salt. So into that, I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of dried lavender. You might have some that you've picked and dried from the garden from the summer, or you can buy it online. So there we go, 3 tablespoons. Doesn't need to be super precise, but just mix that together. Look at that colour, isn't that just so pretty, the pink and the lavender? This really looks as though it's going to do you some good, doesn't it? And then onto that, I can already smell the lavender, but I'm going to make the lavender aroma even stronger by adding some of the lavender essential oil. So I'm using 10 drops of neat lavender essential oil. Oh, excuse me. And mix that together so that is beautifully combined. Still looks really pretty. Ooh. The lavender dust is making me cough, but there we are. I'm going to use my little individual jars for this. Look at that, they're so cute. So I've got a funnel, and I am just going to fill this little jar, and it's going to be kind of like an individual bath salt size. So you could make a couple of these small jars depending on the size of the jar that you're using. There we go, just top that up. And there we are. And pop the little cork on. And then you've got the little gift tag. How cute is that? All ready for a good night's sleep after a bath soak. So the last one is a therapeutic bath tonic, and this is fantastic. It's really good after exercise or sport, or if you just want to kind of give yourself a bit of a pep up, a little bit of a lift. So I put some Epsom bath salts into a bowl, and into that I'm going to use some dried rosemary or some dried mint, something that's quite zingy. You want a herb that's really going to give you a bit of freshness. You can either use pink Himalayan salt, you could use pure Epsom bath salts. I like these as a base. These are the Better You magnesium flakes. This is also really good for helping just to soothe aching muscles. So it acts as a very good tonic. So into my bath salts, I'm going to add a nice handful of crushed dried mint leaves, or you could use dried rosemary if you want to. I'm just going to pick out some of the woodier sticks. Oh, that smells so good already. It's smelling really invigorating. So you just want to give that a little kind of scrunch up. Just make sure that you've got just the smaller bits of the dried herb there. And then into that, I'm going to add some eucalyptus essential oil. Really good if you've got a stuffy nose, if you're feeling a bit coldy, a bit fluey, then eucalyptus is a really good one to use for that. So a dozen or so drops just sprinkled in there. And then what you'll need to do is give that a good stir around so that you get the salt picking up a lot of the essential oils to give that the amazing aroma. And again, it's just so pretty because you've got the contrast of the pale salt against the dark green of the herbs. Just looks really good. And then you want to pack that into a jar with your ingredients on. And actually what's quite nice is if you're giving it as a gift, you might want to buy a particular jar, like one of these little bathroom glass caddies. If not, then you could use a recycled jam jar, you can use Kilner jars. But if you are making it into a special present, then obviously popping it into a proper bathroom jar like this, or another container, means that the person that you're giving it to can keep it and refill it and make their own. If you send them a link maybe to the recipe, they'll know how to make it for themselves. So I'll just put the last little bits in there. And even if you're making it for yourself, actually, not as a gift, it's nice to pop it into something pretty that you can display it next to your bath. You do need to use quite a lot of this. You'll need to use 3 or 4 handfuls really to get an effect in a deep bath. So you might want to make slightly more of this one than perhaps you would of the others. So there we go. That's really pretty. I might just tie a little ribbon around there. I've got a green silk ribbon from my ribbon collection, just to emphasize the fact that it's a herb and that it's got the dried mint in there. There we go, just seal that round. And again, you could tie a little tag. This is going to be Christmassy. Who would I think would like that? Let me just cut the ribbon off. There we go. Just make that look pretty on the edge. And then I might just do a little tag for this one. Maybe I will write this one. I think perhaps Lily might like this. For Lily. With love. And then I am going to put the ingredients on the back just so that people know what they've got in here. So here we've got some Epsom bath salts, dried mint, enjoy. There we go. So there is my little bath soak, which I can tie perhaps just through the ribbon there. And that will go under the tree. Perfect thing. Whoops, might get the ribbon to tie on. It will be the perfect thing. To have a reviving soak after all the festive stresses. Actually, I should probably give it to her before Christmas, shouldn't I, really? Because that's when it all gets a bit mad. Anyway, there we go. So I've got my little collection. So we have here the Therapeutic Bath Soak Tonic. We have got the Super Sleepy lavender bath, which also had the little bath salts. I've got my lovely milky silk soft rose petal, and then this is the sleepy one with the chamomile and the lavender with the colour coordinated ribbons. I hope you love them. Pop me a comment below, let me know what you think, let me know how you get on making them. See you next time.